The first thing the crew of the Vanguard noticed wasn't the darkness. It was the silence. Space is always quiet, but this was different, deeper, heavier, like sound itself had been erased from this corner of the galaxy. They were on a salvage mission, responding to a distress signal from the Helios Rit, a deep space scientific vessel gone dark 27 days prior. Standard retrieval. Get in. Check systems. Extract data. Get out. But as soon as the Vanguard crossed the perimeter of the drift, every sensor died. Communications, mapping beacons, even the AI-assisted navigation. All offline. The Vanguard became a ghost ship in the void, tethered only by the last known coordinates of the Helios Rit. Commander Isla Rand stared at the flickering hollow display with narrowing eyes. "We're not alone," she whispered. No one replied. No one needed to. The silence had already told them. They found the Helios Rit floating just beyond the shadow of a fractured moon. Her hull, torn open in places, but otherwise intact. No escape pods launched. No signs of life. Docking was rough. Manual. The moment Isla stepped aboard, her breath caught in her throat. The lights were on. Flickering, faint, but on. Systems were supposed to have shut down 2 weeks ago. Power should have been gone. The air was stale, but breathable. The corridors stretched before them like the throat of some ancient beast, lights buzzing and failing every few feet. There was no sign of the 36-person crew. No blood. No bodies. Just scratch marks along the walls, deep, erratic, some in patterns no one recognized. Isla's team split up. Standard procedure. 2 to the bridge. 2 to engineering. Isla and Medikes went to medbay. They never should have split up. It started with voices. Not real ones, not at first. Whispers in the comms, even though no one was transmitting. Kes heard her brother, dead 10 years. Isla heard her father reciting a lullaby from her childhood. They said nothing. The air inside the medbay was colder. The walls were wrong, pulsing faintly like they were breathing. The glass on the surgical chamber had been shattered from the inside. Something had gotten out, but not something human. Isla found a single log file, still active. She played it, a scientist's voice, shaking. "We found something in the void, buried in the ice on the far moon. Not a structure, not a life form. Something older. We brought it aboard. We were wrong." The log ended with a scream, long, layered, like more than one voice screaming at once. Kes froze. Something moved past the medbay door, fast, tall, wrong. Isla shut off her flashlight. Whatever it was, it didn't like light. For 30 seconds, neither of them moved. Then they heard scraping, claws against metal. Not running, not aggressive, curious. Kes turned slowly, hand on her sidearm. Then something tapped on the window. Just once. A hand. Human-shaped but stretched, boneless, the fingers twice too long. Its skin was translucent, slick with some fluid, and its face, no eyes, no mouth, just ridges where features should have been, was tilted sideways like it was trying to listen through the steel. Kes screamed. It vanished. They ran. Lights shattered overhead as they sprinted through the corridor, pursued by whispers, not spoken aloud but pressed directly into their thoughts. "You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have come." They reached the bridge to find Juno, the pilot, staring into the main viewport. Eyes wide, pupils gone, mouth open in a silent, continuous gasp. She was alive, barely. Behind her, the navigation console was carved with symbols, not etched, but melted into the alloy. Organic, pulsing. Isla reached out to pull Juno back, and that's when Juno turned, slowly, like a puppet on strings, and smiled. Her voice wasn't hers anymore. "It's inside us now," she said. "It doesn't need a body. Just thought. Just fear." Rin shot her. Point blank. No hesitation. Juno's body fell and dissolved. Not decayed. Dissolved. Into black fluid that crawled away like it had somewhere to be. Kes vomited. They sealed the bridge and tried to call the Vanguard. Nothing. Static. Not even that. Just absence. Whatever this was, it wasn't jamming them. It was removing them from reality. Outside the viewport, the stars were gone, replaced by shifting dark, like thick oil suspended in vacuum. Movement stirred in the dark. Large. Slow. Watching. Back in engineering, Reyes and Chun weren't so lucky. They found the source of the signal. It wasn't a beacon. It was the artifact. A piece of something, bone, stone, something between, with layers that unfolded in non-Euclidean ways. The deeper they stared into it, the less they remembered why they'd come. Chin touched it. He blinked once and bled from his eyes, then from his pores, then from nowhere at all. His body folded wrong, vanished. Reyes screamed until her voice cracked, and something answered in perfect mimicry of her scream from inside the walls. Isla and Kess found Reyes curled up in a corner near the ship's cryo bay, shaking and whispering a phrase over and over. It's dreaming us. It's dreaming us. They tried to carry her, but she wouldn't move. You have to let it finish, she said, smiling through blood. If we wake it, we'll die too loud. That's when the lights went out for good. Everything after was noise. Shapes in the dark. Skin against metal. The sound of doors opening without pressure. Kess vanished first. Not taken, just missing. One step behind Isla, then gone. No sound. No trace. Only a smear of condensation and the whisper of her voice somewhere ahead, singing that same lullaby Isla had heard in the med bay. Rin reached the artifact room. It had grown, consuming consoles, wires, walls. It was no longer a relic. It was the ship. Inside it, eyes opened. Not in rows. In patterns. Hundreds, all looking at her, then through her. You are not flesh, it said inside her skull. You are stories. The walls pulsed. Time buckled. She was a child again. Then an old woman. Then stardust. Then Rin once more, kneeling before the artifact that had become the Helios writ itself. Why, she asked. Why us? The answer came not in words, but in memory. The universe had been older than language before it had light. Some things had been buried long before the first atom cooled. This was not an alien. It was something worse. A thought that had once dreamed of matter and regretted it. The crew had unearthed that regret, and now it wanted to go back to sleep. Isla did the only thing she could. She used her blood to short the ship's fusion core, not to destroy it. That would have been mercy, but to trigger a stasis cascade, freezing the artifact in a feedback loop of its own stolen consciousness. As she activated the sequence, the ship cried out, not in pain, but in confusion. It didn't understand death. Not anymore. She smiled. Neither do we. The last thing she saw was the stars returning, one by one, as the Helios writ folded in on itself like a closing eye. She woke up 6 days later on the Vanguard. Alone, orbiting nothing. No sign of the Helios writ. No crew. No log entries. Just a voice in the intercom, whispering her name. Not pleading, not angry. Curious. And behind it, faint but growing louder, the sound of something still breathing.